Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call us to order. And the City Council will now meet in an executive session to discuss litigation or legal risks of a proposed action or current practice that the agency has identified when public discussion of litigation or legal risks is likely to result in adverse legal or financial consequences to the agency. And the council will be in executive session until 5:30 p.m. So we will adjourn to executive session. All right, the city council is not expected to take further action and the executive session is adjourned. We will reconvene at 6 o'clock for our regularly scheduled city council meeting. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Sequim City Council to order. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, if City Clerk will please take roll call.
Counselor Kelly Berger.
Here.
Counselor Dan Butler. Counselor Vicky Lowe.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Rachel Anderson.
Present.
Mayor Brandon Janice.
Present.
Counselor Harmony Rudder.
Here.
And Counselor Nicole Hartman.
Here.
All right. Any changes to the final agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I will second.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. All right, 2 ceremonials this evening. The first will be in recognition of Youth Liaison Malia Nielsen. This is a certificate given to Malia Nielsen in recognition of her dedicated service as a youth liaison for the Sequim City Council for the 2023 to 2024 and 2024 to 2025 academic year. So, yeah. And I'll turn the mic over if she has anything she'd like to say.
Yeah, I just really appreciate the time I was able to spend on the city council these past 2 years. It's been really inspiring to me. I want to go into government in the future, and this is a really great experience for me, being able to hear like the voices of the people in our community first, and I think that that's really valuable.
Anything from council?
Just thank you for your service. It's been a pleasure working with you. I'm devastated that you're leaving, but very excited for your future and everything ahead for you. Thank you so much.
Our second one this evening is the Constitution Week proclamation. And whereas it is a privilege and duty of the American people to commemorate the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And whereas Public Law 19915 guarantees the issuing of the proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. And now, therefore, I, Brandon Janice, Mayor of the City of Sequim, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. I call upon all residents of Sequim to study and reflect on the Constitution, considering the freedom, rights, and responsibilities guaranteed to us through this document, and remember that once lost, these rights may never be regained. Signed on this 8th day of September, 2025. Brandon Janice, Mayor. And I will invite Miss Darlene Cook up to say a few words.
Good evening. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. These words were written 238 years ago. They are the preamble to our Constitution. During Constitution Week, we encourage you to read beyond the preamble to understand the structure of the three branches of our representative government. We encourage you to study the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. And we encourage you to be familiar with the other 17 amendments to our Constitution. On behalf of the new Dungeness chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, we thank Mayor Janice for proclaiming the week of September 17 to 23 as Constitution Week here in Sequim. A special ceremony will take place on September 17th out here on the plaza at 1 o'clock. We invite you to bring a bell and join us as we celebrate our Constitution rights and responsibilities. Thank you.
They've asked to do a quick photo right here in the center, but before they do anything from council.
Gonna do the center.
Yeah. Brandon, can you confirm what time that ceremony is on the 17th?
Ma'am,
1 o'clock on the 17th? Thank you.
Sorry. Yes, September 17th at 1 p.m. in the plaza. It's called Bells Across America. You may see that in the newspaper or other advertisement. It is a nationwide celebration where everybody gets together and rings a bell. That happens to be the day that the Constitution was read for the very first time. And we'd love to see everybody there celebrating with us, okay? You'll see more in the newspaper about it, and there'll be posters up. Thank you.
all right, we'll move on to public comment. And this is a limited public forum, so individuals providing public comment must not disrupt or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of the meeting. This is not a forum for hate speech, and the city of Sequim supports the public's First Amendment right to free speech, but it does not support hate speech. Speakers are expected to be courteous and refrain from making hateful comments, sounds, or remarks, and any offensive words and conduct shared by the public do not reflect the city's values. And the city of Sequim stands firm in its commitment to being an inclusive community and rejects discrimination of any kind. City Clerk.
For individuals attending in person, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. In a moment, I will collect the public comment sign-in sheet. If you wish to comment and have not yet signed up, please do so now. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak on any topic, and there will be a timer visible on the screen. A total of 30 minutes or 10 speakers will be permitted for public comments. When your name is called, please state your name if you are representing an organization and your city of residence. Our first speaker tonight is Jeff Considine.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Considine. I'm happy to say I'm a resident of Sequim. In June of 2024, Sequim hosted a public outreach to gain insight on an update of the comprehensive plan. Identified in this process were the following shared values among the attendees of the three-day event: preserving rural and open spaces, promoting housing affordability, conserving regional water resources, prioritizing transportation safety and comfort, promoting economic opportunity, attracting and retaining families, and ensuring fiscal responsibility. I'm struggling to reconcile these priorities with an application from Seabrook Land Company that was considered to be counter-complete on June 23rd of 2025, and which the city will soon consider as consider for approval. Although a complete copy of the application is not yet available for public review, a number of elements of the proposed project's infrastructure costs and requirements were available in the city's tax increment financing document that was submitted to the state on February 19th, 2025. This analysis included cost estimates for infrastructure improvements of approximately $32.5 million. This $32.5 million is needed to enable the construction of 650 homes and 30,000 square feet of commercial space on the property adjacent to the John Wayne Marina. Of the $32.5 million, $14.5 million is for the construction of a sewer lift station on the corner of corner of West Quimby Road and Forest Road, to be constructed at the taxpayer's expense. The city's projection was that some significant portion of the cost of this project would be covered by utility cost increases. There are additional $18 million or so for the construction of a second lift station somewhere in the vicinity of West Quimby Road and White Feather Way, the developer's expense, but with at least a preliminary understanding that some portion, if not all of that expense, would be recovered by the developer at the taxpayer's expense. Annual debt payments on the $14.5 million for the first lift station only is estimated to be somewhere between $600,000 and $650,000 per year. If the taxpayers were also directly or indirectly responsible for some portion of lift station number 2, the annual cost increase for debt payment obligations could be up to $1 million annually. Some questions. Given the city's limited financial and natural resources, how does this new development reflect the shared values of the city's residents? Are there other projects that the city might match the city's resources to the shared values of the city? If I might have just a couple seconds. How does the city anticipate funding the construction of lift station number 1? And how will the project impact utility costs for all Sequim consumers? How much, if any, of the recent utility rate increases are anticipating the cost of the project? What future increases in utility costs does the city expect to cover for future debt payments? What are the terms of the developer reimbursement agreement as it relates to the construction of lift station number 2? And what is the total obligation of the city as it relates to the construction of this project? And how will the taxpayers pay this obligation? Thank you for your time.
Bruce von Borstel.
Bruce von Borstel, Sequim resident. I'm concerned about the stress on our water supply as Sequim prepares to expand. What is the current hydrologic status of the Sequim Dungeness area and its aquifer? We are making future projections without needed and current water aquifer data. The hydrology and geology must be studied and understood as we look ahead. The USGS study, hydrogeology assessment of the Sequim Dungeness area, was published in 1999. It includes a map showing water well drawdown over the 20-year period prior to the study. Numerous wells had lost up to 10 feet of water. Certainly over the last 30 years, this decline in water level has increased. The 2022 Dungeness Water Resources Planning Recommendation Summary made 11 recommendations. Understanding the current status of our aquifer stands out. Have these recommendations been followed? The Sequim water availability fact sheet makes a projection for water supply and demand out to 2041. It is not based on water in the aquifers, but on the, quote, existing reservoir capacity, unquote. Existing reservoir capacity is defined as the potential water it can hold and not how much water is actually in the reservoir. The 10-gallon sink is still a 10-gallon sink, even if it's empty. And yet we are making projections for the needs of large future developments without knowing how much water is actually currently available. And we need to consider the effects of climate change and drought. Contrary to the Sequim fact sheet, Sequim is very much affected by the lack of precipitation in our watershed. All of our water, whether groundwater or surface water, initially comes from atmospheric precipitation. I've attached geologic sections from the USGS report to illustrate how this water is shared. Development that occurs on Miller Peninsula, for example, will affect us, and what we do will affect them. We need to update hydrologic information now and not gamble on the possible failure of the wells that we depend on. Thank you.
Courtney Considine.
Hello again. My name is Courtney Considine. I'm a resident of Sequim. Since last month's City Council meeting, I have been fascinated by the impact of tourism on U.S. cities in anticipation of the Seabrook-Sequim mega community. Have you ever vacationed in a spot where you could feel the locals' disdain for tourists? Locals whose quality of life has been impacted by tourism do not make for hospitable hosts, and rightfully so. I'd like to present to you a series of questions related to scenario planning that consider some socioeconomic implications of adding a resort city within the city limits. Let's talk about infrastructure. What happens when seasonal populations swell exponentially while resident populations remain relatively static? Increased wear and tear on roads, access to water, even niche challenges like land to dump additional septic capacity. All of these things increase the spending needs of the city. These seasonally expanded costs are driven by visitors, but they are paid by residents. So here are my questions. How have Sequim and Clallam County measured growth in summer tourism during the 10 years that the city has been considering this large resort community? Is the city redrafting regulations that indicate lodging tax revenue be used only for a tight definition of tourism enhancement projects defined on the website? How is the city of Sequim coordinating with regional resources and stakeholders to make infrastructure decisions that will support increased seasonal traffic? How will Clallam County's already stressed and jeopardized medical and emergency services manage increases in demand? Housing is the second issue. There are about 11,000 homes in Sequim, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, of which Airbnb indicates over 1,000 short-term rentals available in the area. If we add up to 450 units in Seabrook-Sequim, that will increase the number of short-term rentals in the area to roughly 13% of all households. Our city's tourism will be supported and is supported today by hospitality workers. Did you know that the mean annual wage for waitstaff in 2023 was just a little over $36,000? Or that Sequim's median household income for single heads of households is about $40,000 a year. Median gross rent in Sequim is roughly $1,200 a month. That takes up over 35% of the annual income of waitstaff and our average household income for single heads of household. 80% of available rentals in Sequim today are 2 to 3 bedroom homes. Sequim already has a challenged long-term rental market. According to the City of Sequim's 2015 to 2035 Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 6 Housing indicates no endorsement of single-room occupancy housing by the city to date, no promotion of low-rise utility family apartments in the downtown lifestyle or community commercial districts, no progress in affordable housing efforts, no progress in citing subsidized low-income and special needs housing. My questions: how is the city considering economic development and housing simultaneously? How will the city foster growth of the affordable housing and long-term rental markets in a way that maintains quality of life for residents vital to a successful tourist destination? How is the city approaching short-term rental impacts and potential caps in its comprehensive plan? Does the city acknowledge the potential for rising real estate values and increased property taxes, pricing locals out of the area and making it prohibitive for those necessary hospitality workers to live near their jobs? Thank you for your time.
Carol von Borstel.
My name is Carol von Borstel, and I live in Sequim. I've been learning about the Seabrook phenomenon, as you also have, for the last 2 years. And it seems to me that it's time for a reality check. There is nothing about this project, no matter what lens you use, that will ultimately benefit Sequim. The income that it may generate in taxes will be offset by huge infrastructure costs, and that will reliably trickle down to taxpayers. Rather, the Seabrook development, now called West Bay, is a push by special interests with power who would change this town to enhance their own ends. And they have set themselves in opposition to almost the entire population of this whole area who strongly oppose this development. We did not choose Sequim to live in because it would be a tourist mecca with hundreds coming each weekend for a rural getaway. The citizens of Sequim are here for the quiet beauty of the place, the simplicity, and a pace of life that is not metropolitan. We are on the edge of losing all of that, in addition to water that we may need and roadways that even now are barely adequate. You are the gatekeepers standing between these two visions of our future. If you allow Seabrook a foothold, Sequim will never be the same. We're counting on you to represent the people of this community over those who would exploit it. It is what you said you would do when you ran for the city council. Thank you.
Lisa Ann Oliver.
My name is Lisa Ann Oliver. I am a homeowner in the Flora's Acres HOA, which is on the hill right behind the Shipley Center. Although we are technically Clallam County, our mailing address is Sequim. I wanted to speak tonight on behalf of a couple of issues that are coming up later in the agenda that affect Flora's Acres. One of them is an interlocal agreement between the city of Sequim and Clallam County. The other is the formation of an LID, local improvement district. just a little bit of background, very, very briefly. We have a failing septic system. Through the efforts of a large number of people and the sponsorship of Clallam County, we obtained a $2.5 million funding package from the Department of Ecology. Part of that package is $1.9 million of principal forgiveness, which means we don't have to pay that back, which is awesome. $661,000 of that funding is a very low interest loan at 0.7%. This is all contingent on us abandoning and collapsing our septic system and connecting to the city's sewer. We are in the process of finalizing a $1.8 million grant from the Department of Health to connect to the city water as well. As part of this process, we intend to petition and be annexed by the city. Regarding the ILA, this is an agreement between City of Sequim, Clallam County, transferring the ecology funding over to the City of Sequim because the city has very graciously agreed to coordinate on both projects. A big thank you to Paul and his team at Public Works for taking on this monumental task on our behalf. I want to make it very clear that the residents of Flora's Acres are fully in favor of this ILA, as well as any future agreements or documents that may be necessary to enact this. Regarding the LID, that is we intend to form one to pay back the $661,000. And again, the residents are very much in favor of this and whatever we need to do. The issues of annexation, LID, ILA, it's too many numbers, two letters, as well as connecting to the city and sewer and water have universal support from the residents of Flora's Acres. I wanted to thank you all for your efforts on our behalf and thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Tracy Hollister.
Greetings. Thank you, Council, for listening to all of our concerns. My name is Tracy Hollister, and my house is the northern neighbor to the John Wayne Marina on West Sequim Bay Road in Sequim. My business, Olympic Coast Sailing Charter, operates in the marina, and I am joining my friends and neighbors in opposition to the West Bay Seabrook development. We are in a drought 3 years now. Our water table is low. It's my hope that our local leaders will create mandates for water conservation, not be giving it away to improper developments. Seabrook will not be positive for my business as a ecotourism professional or for the marina, which is a super busy facility for 6 months of the year. Congestion from 101 to West Sequim Bay Road is pretty intense. It's very busy. There are hundreds of cyclists and pedestrians that go right past my house every day, and there is no mitigation plan from this developer to make that any better. In addition, as a former custom home builder, I oppose this development. It fails to meet highest and best use goals for the land. It creates a burden and not a solution. These houses are not going to be affordable for our nurses, our firefighters, et cetera, people that actually make the city operate. It will be harmful to nature. And I speak for the wetlands, the forest, and the animals that inhabit them. No one I know supports this proposed development. And I appreciate your time and listening. Thank you.
Aaron.
Hi there. Thank you for taking the time. And this is my first time speaking, so I hope that I do this okay. But my question for you and concern for a lot of people, it sounds like, is the development, the rate and the development of Sequim. I live in Agnew, so Sequim is pretty much my home. So my question is, what is your limit? Like your 5-year goal, your 10-year goal, like, is there a limit of people? Because we need to think of the infrastructure, the water, the electric, the sewer, the everything, just the congestion of trying to get to work, trying to get home. Just so my question to you is, are you guys going to consider putting more monopoly houses in, which you say are affordable, but with a growing increase of the market and everything that has been pointed out, that it is hard for locals to get and it's easier for outsiders to get. So I would like to know how you guys intend to help the locals and maybe looking at acre plots instead of monopoly housing. So I guess that's all I have for you guys. Thanks.
And that concludes public comment.
All right, thank you for everyone that spoke this evening. All right, no public hearing this evening, so if the city clerk could please read the consent agenda.
Claim vouchers totaling $2,263,834.52. City Council meeting minutes from August 11th, 2025. The Dairy Queen Sewer Line Repair Project, a recommendation to award contract. Ratification of collective bargaining agreement, a non-uniform contract. River Road Overlay, recommendation to award contract. SMC 20.40, formation of local improvement districts and ordinance. City Shop Public Utility District utility right-of-way easement dedication, a resolution. And requests to waive competitive bidding process to purchase used equipment, a resolution.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Anything further from council on this? Any opposed? All right, seeing none, that motion will pass. All right, moving on to information 9A. This will be a comprehensive plan update.
We go. Good evening, City Council. My name is Carla Boughton, and I'm a planning consultant working on the comprehensive plan on behalf of the City of Sequim. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to give the City Council, members of the public, an update on the 2025 comprehensive plan status. So in your packet, you'll have our kind of monthly status memo that has been presented to the City Council. The last time I was here to give you an update was on July 14th. So without going through every piece of the memo, I just want to give you some of the highlights that your Planning Commission has achieved since the last time I was here. And as I mentioned at the last meeting, they're working very hard on their comprehensive plan updates. So since July 14th, the community character chapter was reviewed by the Arts Commission. The transportation element was reviewed by the Planning Commission on July 15th. The capital facility and utilities plan was just reviewed and completed last week. The Parks and Open Space Plan finished the Parks and Recreation Board, and the Planning Commission reviewed it on August 5th. And the Climate and Resiliency chapter was reviewed by the Sustainability Committee at the end of July, and then the Planning Commission on August 26th. So we are moving along. On the last page of the memo, you'll see the upcoming schedule for the next couple months. So we'll be working with the Planning Commission at our next meeting this month and presenting the site-specific map amendment requests that have been made by private property owners to rezone their property. We'll be presenting those applications as well as a staff recommendation for those. And then, and I'll talk a little bit about this at the next agenda item, but the development regulation update has been initiated. And the first set of the first development regulation that we propose to be working on is Title 17, which is the subdivision ordinance. So that work is, we do have a draft done. It's still being reviewed internally, and we do anticipate initiating at least a beginning review with the Planning Commission in October for study sessions. The other set of codes that have been initiated is Chapter 20.01, which is the city's permit procedural ordinance. And that is also slated for a complete rewrite over and update. So that has been initiated as far as internal drafting is going. So that is the update. We do plan to be back at your first meeting in October with the with your next status update, and happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Questions from council?
Probably more of a comment than a question, just maybe to state the obvious, given the public comment that we listened to just now. I wanted to say how relevant this seems, perhaps even providential, that the city embarked on this, which is a mandated comprehensive plan review, and is able to consider this comprehensive plan for the next 10 years in light of the discussion that is very active currently in the community. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
I'd also like to make a comment. This is some appreciation to you, Carla. Each of us sit on different committees and serve in different capacities for the city. And as the liaison to the Arts Commission and the Parks, Harbor, and Rec Board, I can just speak for how this update has been so collaborative and such a community effort, and that there is still time for folks to comment on the comp plan and to make suggestions, and that we welcome that, but that the various committees and commissions and are here at the City Hall are made of, in my experience, I'm delighted to work with the Arts Commission and Park Board, and those folks have taken that review process very seriously. And so just from what I'm observing, it's a collaborative experience. Thank you so much for taking all the steps to make sure that all those voices are captured in our plan. And I look forward to continuing down this process with you. Thank you. You've been doing a great job.
Thank you.
Nothing further. We'll go ahead and move on. Item 10A, development regulations update for public participation plan.
Yeah, so again, Carla Boughton, for the record, a planning consultant. So I will be presenting this agenda item as well. So with the comprehensive plan update now underway, there's still quite a bit of work to do, but it still has got legs under it, and it's moving forward through the Planning Commission, as we just talked about. It is now, it was time for us to turn our attention to the update to the development regulations. So the development regulations are controlled by the Growth Management Act as well, and there are regulations that the city adopts that control, as you would imagine, development. So the intent is to update a number of titles to our Sequim Municipal Code that are related to development. So Title 17, which is the subdivision ordinance, Title 18, which is the zoning ordinance, and Chapter 20.01, which is the permit procedural ordinance. So the Growth Management Act does set forth at any time that you're going to do an update to the comprehensive plan or development regulations that you must establish the development, or you must establish a public participation plan that identifies how the public is going to be engaged, at least notified and made aware of the proposals and the amendments that are being made to the development regulations. Now, all these regulations, just like a comprehensive plan, do require public noticing and public hearings, but given the significant amount of changes that the staff is anticipating needed for those sets of ordinances that I just spoke about. And I also should add that the critical area ordinance will be a component of the updates as well. That we felt it was appropriate to develop a public participation plan that was separate from the comprehensive plan, public participation plan that identifies the proposed multi-year phased approach to the development regulations updates. And so in your packet is a public participation draft plan and a draft resolution, which is the method for adopting that plan. And this is a first touch tonight of the resolution and the draft plan. So I just wanted to note a couple things in the public participation plan, which is mostly the schedule, which is on the last page. And I want to walk through what those five development regulation amendment are and the time frame for them, and then just give you a brief description of what each of those are. So the first one, and again, as I've mentioned before, is Title 17, that's subdivision. We're going to actually rename it to Land Division Ordinance because there's a number of things that happen in there that aren't just purely subdivision under the state definition. This will be, again, top to bottom rewrite. And I will note that a number of the state mandated housing related amendments that are required will live in here, such as unit lot subdivision requirements that the state legislature has all jurisdictions in the state of Washington do. So that will live in that update. Update number 2 is, and that's proposed to kick off this right now. So as I mentioned, the Planning Commission will take a look at that starting in September, and it will go through the process through January. And then Title 18, which is going to be select amendments to increase housing. And so these are going to be a package of zoning code amendments that are specific and related to the housing mandates of the state legislature. And a number of those I'll just kind of identify, but we've been talking about them over the last couple months. So we're going to package them all together, and we do have a land use consultant that will be assisting staff with that. But these will be amendments where you'll see the two accessory dwelling units allowed per lot, co-living mandates, affordable housing incentive mandates, and then a couple other kind of ancillary, such as the state legislature has made some amendments or some directives, I should say, regarding how much parking can be required. So all of that, again, will live in this package of amendments, and this is this package is intended to fully meet the state mandates for increasing housing. Then the third set of development regulation amendments are going to be to Title 18, which is zoning as well. And these are going to be a companion to the comprehensive plan. It will follow that process. And that will be the amendments that are necessary in order to implement a number of the policies that are within the draft comprehensive plan, as we're expecting, and to also do some clarifications to the use tables and other development standards that we have learned through our stakeholder interviews and our discussions that are difficult to administer and are ambiguous or confusing. So that will happen concurrent with the comprehensive plan. So that will go through a public process from January to June 2026. Then the remainder of Title 18, which is basically kind of everything else other than those that are relevant to implementing the comprehensive plan, new policies, will follow suit quickly after that. And that will be starting in July of 2026 and go through to the beginning of 2027. And this is going to be capturing a lot of these. We've talked about doing these updates for many years, and we're going to get to it. So again, not completely relevant or implementing specific policies of the comprehensive plan, but for example, like writing and clarifying a landscape or landscape standards, like revising or establishing a site plan review application process. So things that have been talked about and have been desired by the staff as well as the development community, that will occur at that July through January 2027. And then following up will be the critical areas ordinance. Right now, this lives within Title 18. We are anticipating pulling this out and having it live in Title 16, which is the environmental section of the Sequim Municipal Code. The critical area ordinance is also a GMA mandated development regulation. It regulates wetlands, streams, geological hazardous areas, aquifer recharge areas, frequently flooded areas. And so it is based in best available science. Our departments of ecology provide, and Department of Fish and Wildlife provide resource guidance that helps direct what the critical area ordinance standards are. So with that concludes my comment. Again, tonight is first touch for a draft resolution and a public participation plan that will live throughout that multi-year phased approach to development regulations. And then there is a motion in your packet for you for your consideration as well. So happy to answer your questions, and thank you.
Well, I'd move to waive the second touch on this matter and direct staff to present a resolution on the consent agenda at the next meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Anything further from council? Any opposed? All right, seeing none, that motion will pass. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
All right, 10B, interlocal agreement with the city of Sequim and Clallam County for Flora's Acres. Paul.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of City Council. For the record, Paul Busich, Public Works Director here at the City of Sequim. I was going to tell you all about the ILA and the value and benefit we're going to get out of it, but I think I've been upstaged on that already through the public comment. Thank you very much. But before you is the interlocal agreement with Clallam County that will allow us to take over their loan from the Department of Ecology and allow us to do the work necessary within their right-of-way, because until it's annexed, it is the county right-of-way, and to do so without having enter into a franchise agreement with them. The ILA also stipulates that the county agrees to participate actively with us. In other words, they're going to be working with us as we move through it as we need them to. At no cost to the project. So that's an extra nice feature that they are willing to move forward with. The loan, it was originally to Clallam County. I'm happy to report that because of the work last week, we were able to have Ecology move the loan into their Eagle system, and it has been fully funded and in the name of the city of Sequim. So that's moving forward. Unfortunately, because of the workload they have, I won't be able to bring an agreement to you until at least November. I was actually very optimistic it'd be later this month, but that's not going to turn out that way. Their Eagle system, which they use for tracking all their loans and grants and process and everything else, is in for an upgrade starting on the 10th, and it will be down until about the 8th of October. And then so after that, when they reactivate everything that's in there, they will send us an agreement. We'll have some back and forth on that. And once that we're satisfied with that internally, then, and they're satisfied with it, then I'll be bringing it forward to council for request for authorization for the city manager to execute. The second part to that is the grant from the Department of Health. Now, that is directly to the city of Sequim, and Clallam County is not a party to that, which is why the ILA does not speak to that. because they have no say in that. We had a draft agreement from them, but we identified that they had cut out about $80,000 for inspection services, so we had to have additional conversations with that. They've agreed to fund half of that, and the other half, we know that we're going to be pursuing that through the CDBG grant process along with the curb, gutter, and sidewalk. So that's a work still in progress. I anticipate that we should have the grant from the Department of Health agreement well before the ecology loan agreement. I'm not sure I want to say who's more efficient, but if they can get that to us, I have no qualms bringing that forward to you in the future. But tonight, for your consideration, it really is about getting approval for the city manager to execute this interlocal agreement with the county so we can really get the ball started on it. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions you may have. There is a motion. I was just going to finish. There is a motion in your agenda packet to authorize city manager to execute the ILA. And if you would consider that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, again, just to comment, thanks, Paul, for all your work and the staff that you lead and for bringing a very satisfied citizen to the meeting tonight to give us a report. Appreciate that.
It's been great to work with them.
I move to authorize signature of the interlocal agreement with Clallam County for the work to be conducted within Flaura Acres boundaries and connections to city utility services.
And I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Anything further? Any opposed? All right, seeing none, that motion will pass. Thank Paul. All right, youth liaison reports.
Good evening, City Council members and audience. The Sequim schools started back to school on the 27th of last month. And our cross-country, boys tennis, girls soccer, volleyball, and football teams have all began practice, some of them even playing games. I know the football team is currently playing a game right now. Additionally, the school board has started to work with me and Cassie Montero, the other student liaison, on putting together a survey on phone usage in schools and how we can start to lower it and control it in the classroom setting. Thank you.
Good evening. For purposes of the record, this is Youth Liaison Layla Sundin speaking. Like Lincoln said, school started. We have our fall play auditions coming up this week. And then we will also have club fair this Friday at lunch. So, yeah.
City manager.
Thank you, and good evening, councilman. Just a couple of things from my office to start off with. Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend Representative Emily Randall's town hall meeting. Several of you were there, and that was a really great experience. I really want to point out and recognize the mayor's insight in inviting her to your next council meeting for work session. I think that will be a wonderful thing. It was really well attended, and some great responses to an open question, a dialogue session there. So a couple other things. Oleg has sent you an email. He sent one on 7/1, which is July 1, just to introduce what we call fish firewall. I'll just point you to that, and then he sent you another one this afternoon, this evening, or whatever. I just encourage you to read it. I don't need to go into public response to that, but we'd love your support on that. And I thought, well, I could send another email, but I'd rather just kind of point you to those. So thank you so much. Feel welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions with that. as long as I'm talking about receiving emails, I just wanted you all to know that I continue to receive at least one positive email, if not more, per week from our residents and or our businesses relative to our staff. And I guess I could share all those with you. I actually brought some with me, but almost every department, whether it's parks or events or public works, we have almost every department is receiving those. So I just wanted to call out our staff in the amazing effort they're putting forward and always have toward the customer experience. So it takes a lot to have people slow down and write a formal email or letter. And I just am so appreciative of every one of those that I receive. Moving on, so from the Communications and Marketing Department, Barbara posted the September newsletter late last week, and we're really excited. But we have over a 60% open rate on our e-newsletter, which is really phenomenal compared to national averages. And that's a medium, of course, that we're trying to pursue in a e-platform. Some of the summer tourism data is coming in. August hotel motel tax reflected a 14.5% increase over last year. So there's a little lag in how long it takes for us to get that tax data, but we'll have more of a summer lined up for you, but kind of different than what I think a lot of us were expecting. Because of the public comment, I wanted to point out or remind council that there is a webpage on the moratorium that has all of the relevant documentation. Everything's transparent. Our letters to developers, their letters back, et cetera, the full applications, all those things are there. So should you have questions from your constituents, you might familiarize yourself with that site and send them there, or let us know if we can help in any way. Sue was pleased to have a recent audit finalized with the State Office of Auditing, and we'll get that final report in a couple weeks, but everything went really smooth as usual. Oleg wanted me to mention that we are getting our Starlink initiative kicked off. This is kind of a backup redundancy system so that we'll have internet access in times of emergency. As you know, we have fiber to all of our main facilities, but should the ground be disrupted or whatever, we're now moving into, and I think tomorrow, our Starlink at our the transit center will be set up, which will allow us to run our ECC. Yes.
And just to follow up, since we were talking about emergency management at the last meeting too, I did notice that on our website it does direct people to go and sign up for Everbridge to get notifications about in the case of emergency situations. So I noticed in the last meeting that it was on the Port Angeles website, and I just searched for it today just because I was following up, and it is on our website. So I don't know if that's new or if it was there before, but apparently we are also, in the event of emergency, going to be using Everbridge.
Oh, for sure we will. And Chief Hill followed up on that comment as well. And boy, I wish I would have come prepared for that. I remember reading a fairly thorough email on when they sent it and why they sent it and why they didn't or whatever. I think one was an advisory versus a warning, or there's different levels of that or something. And so that there's a lot that he uncovered based on that comment. So thank you for that. But he and I can forward that to you should you wish. But he did some homework on trying to track that down. Anyway, I think I've taken plenty of time. Flaura Acres, you've heard about, legal and public works have both put a lot of time into that. We're also trying to fine tune our criminal justice contract. It's renewable this year. I think it's a 10-year contract. And so we'll be bringing that to you all soon. So, really, I could go on and on, but I think, just lots of public work projects still being pushed forward. You're all aware of the ADA ramps, a lot of the road construction, some new water and sewer valves around town. So, yeah, just lots going on. Any questions I can answer for any of you? Yes.
Talking about projects, was taking a walk around the building earlier today just to get some fresh air, get away from the computer screen, and noticed a new parking lot behind City Hall looking really great. When is that going to be open for?
That's a great question. Let me defer to our parking lot expert. I know that's where it's going.
Yes, so currently the parking lot was awarded what's known as a procurement delay. For those that may or may not know, the electrical side of acquisition, talking about our street lights and pedestrian lights, are a long lead item. Those are expected to ship in October. So currently, through the procurement delay, the site is still technically the responsibility of the contractor. Now, I am working with the contractor on our security gates and keypads. I have a call into them to be able to put together a mock-up that should be taken care of this week. And I was told by the contractor that once we have an agreed upon setup for the keypads and the gate, it's a 5-day turnaround. So anticipating coordination on that this week, work the following week, in which case then we can issue substantial completion. So we're about two and a half weeks out till that substantial completion, which then means it's turned over to the city as far as the site responsible for security operations and maintenance and use.
That darn supply chain, slow down. Yeah. Good question. Turned out beautiful. Well, thank you, Council. It's always a pleasure to meet with you.
Okay. Any committee reports?
I just wanted to take a quick moment to comment on the Northwest Elements display out in the Karen Kuznick Reese Gallery. The Sequim Arts Commission had an amazing reception on First Friday, and it was well attended. I was there with my family, and packed lobby, so many talented artists. The brass quintet was very talented. I heard them doing everything from bossa nova to classical to pop songs. And the artists have really stepped it up and have put together an amazing display. So I couldn't be more proud of the work of the Sequim Arts Commission. And currently the call is out for the next exhibition, which is going to be titled Black and White. So have fun with black and white and all shades of gray and any textures or accent colors that you feel may enhance your art piece for display in the lobby here. So thank you. And many thanks to the Sequim Arts Commission.
Yeah, they changed that out. I think quarterly is the plan, and it's brand new, so it will be up for a while. But I did mention that in my manager's report to you. And that was one of the emails I got today. How resident just was profoundly impressed with our gallery and with the reception that we had to it. So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Anyone else?
Just a super quick Sister City update. We are planning on a delegation visit from our Sister City leaders, which is very exciting. That will be the week of October 13th. So look forward to that. Also, quick update about the Sister City display in this back hall over by the elevator. We try, when applicable, we try and coordinate the display change with the Arts Commission theme. So the new display is all about the Sister City Friendship Garden. So take a look if you get a chance. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Not a committee report per se, but I was in Forks on Friday, so I attended the Sequim Forks game, and it was a stressful back and forth, but I'm glad we won. All right, open discussion. This will be in regards to Congresswoman Randall's visit for next council meeting. So basically just discuss what this meeting will look like when she attends. Like I said, I sent her the letter, the joint letter from us in the county. So if there's anything else that council would like to discuss with her outside of that, I think that she's, I think, obviously aware of a lot of the social issues affecting everything. So obviously that can be a choice, but I think if we would like to, if we only have like 45 minutes with her. So if we can look at what, SQUIM centric kind of issues, but whatever the council would like to. I think now is probably the chance to get it, so that way we can get it to her representatives. So that way she has time to come up with some ideas for us when she gets here, since we only have a short time with her. So I will open it up.
Brandon, thank you so much for inviting her, and thank you for taking the initiative to send the joint letters that from the county and from our city. I was so sad that I was not able to attend her session on Saturday, but I look forward to hearing what she wants to share with us based on those letters. I don't have anything further at this time.
Yeah, one of the issues like I was gonna bring up to her and put down was maybe because I know I've had a few people approach me in regards to the Mountain View apartments that are managed by HUD. So see what she can do in terms of that arena to get some more maintenance done on those apartment complexes. So things like that. So if anybody else has ideas and that thing that we could discuss with her, that maybe she would be able to help out in the federal arena.
Confess I can't recall exactly what we put in those combined letters. So perhaps this is already included, but I'd like to highlight our concern for the PNNL funding in the 2026 federal budget, and the alert that we've received that it could well be, Department of Energy could well be losing a fair bit of funding, which would directly impact PNNL and the impact that it could have on us here. So I think we included PNNL as one of our topics of concern, but I want to just make sure.
Are you able to bring that up real quick? Yeah. Let's see if Heather can bring that up real quick.
Thank you, Heather. While you're doing that, the other is, thank you for giving us the opportunity to raise this, because it might kind of branch into getting into more specific social engagement sort of issues. But as an example, I'm a member of a faith community that applied for and received a grant to increase our security that was sponsored by her predecessor, Derek Kilmer, through FEMA after the attack on a synagogue back in Philadelphia. Prior to that, the grant was granted. Prior to it being implemented, we have a new administration now that is apparently attaching new conditions to those grants. And I don't know that that's unique to ours specifically. I think it's this whole genre. What I don't know is if there's conditions being applied to any grants that are coming to the city with regards to cooperation with ICE and with the anti-DEI agenda. And I just want to be perhaps raise that without getting an answer, perhaps a what should we do sort of a question. But
okay, yeah. So that way, because I want to make sure that her representatives have it, so that way she can at least have maybe some sort of response before, like so. Okay.
And Councilmember Butler, we have heard from the county our raise grant, or we're a participant in that. PEA took the lead on that. I think 1.4, whatever our percentage of that total grant application was. And we received notice that they wanted to change the language around those two issues as well. So we will be deferring that if and when we need to council it. We felt like that's totally a policy decision. So
yeah, and in the case I bring up specifically, it seems highly unlikely that it wouldn't be litigated, but it's going to be litigated by something much larger than us, I'm sure. And so I doubt that it's the final answer. It just is an unnecessary complication. In the meantime, we remain a vulnerable community, our specific one. So
yeah, she brought up the letter. So if there's anything, like I said, on there that you want to specifically discuss with her in more detail, or like I said, outside that letter.
yeah, yes, no longer frozen. Now it's thawed with new conditions. But anyway, that's fine. Is the PNL on there as well? Right. So perhaps with the grants issue, it might be more relevant to use the city's concerns that Matt raises and use the local church as a backup kind of to that rather than lead. Doesn't matter one way or the other as long as the issue is on the table.
Like I said, I just want to make sure that have this time to make sure that if we have like specific questions or concerns that you want to bring up, to make sure that her representatives have time to discuss it with her, so she gets here and has time to at least maybe have time to give an answer to us.
Is there anything in here about healthcare, cuts to healthcare because of the reduction in funding to Medicaid? Is any of that mentioned in our letter in terms of the way that it affects the right here in the
Number 4.
Yes, good. Yeah, I saw a preliminary report earlier this year. Governor Ferguson made one of the reports. He found that a very, very high number, 800,000, but children may be losing their health care coverage in the state of Washington alone due to the cuts in Medicaid. Myself and Councilor Lowe were talking about this before the meeting, but hopefully that number will come down. But it's very unfortunate that the social safety net has been so affected by the actions of the current administration. So thank you. That was the only other thing that popped in my mind. But I don't see your HUD issue, so that I would like to hear her response on that.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, that's just been something. I mean, the mountain, those apartments have been pretty much that way. That was something I found out recently, that they were managed by HUD. So yeah. Anybody else have any comments on anything other outside this list or anything in general?
So this list and other things that have come up, are you planning to write? Is that the upshot of this?
Yeah, I was just going to get this list to her. Well, she has this list.
Right.
But anything else, I was going to get to her representatives.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything from the youth liaisons?
If there is anything that we can think of, like, do you have a deadline for if we think of topics or questions that we want to send?
I would probably say the Friday before the meeting would probably be best.
Okay.
Just to give her some time.
The way she ran her town hall, several of you know this, she basically left it open to questions so she had a couple prepared questions that she answered while people were coming up to the microphone, but otherwise it was spontaneous. And she had answers for everything from education to healthcare to housing to, international politics and policy. So
yeah, I think the difference between that and this is that she only has, 45 minutes. That's
right.
the downside between this and that.
And I think her chief of staff referred to this. I had a conversation with her and she referred to this letter, I believe.
And I just want to make sure we make the most of it and get, All right. Anything else on this topic? All right.
I have an open council discussion item that's not tied to Emily Randall's visit. So I'll just go for it. And then if other counselors have unrelated content, please jump in after me. So on Saturday, on Saturday morning was a busy time for Sequim. There was the visit with Emily Randall, but also I was invited to represent the city at the Olympic Peninsula Audubon Society and National Wildlife Federation ceremony at the Dungeness River Nature Center. I was delighted to be there representing. They did an amazing session. They started at the beginning with a representative of the National Wildlife Federation presenting a certificate to the Peninsula Audubon Society for their work on the Olympic Peninsula National Wildlife Habitat Project. And everyone's invited to check out that information on the Audubon Society's website. If your backyard or your balcony or your garden fits the criteria, then you too can become a certified habitat and join the I wish I would have written down the number, but it's a large number of certified habitats, certified backyards, or like I said, even down to a balcony planting situation. And the Audubon Society representatives highlighted the proclamation that we provided to them, and also the proclamation from the county commissioners for the National Wildlife Federation's Olympic Peninsula Audubon Society's habitat project. So it was a very festive atmosphere, and it was also National Hummingbird Day. So they had guava nectar in the back for the participants, and the presentation was very insightful. It was given by Julie O'Donnell, and she talked about native plants for pollinators and how to go about converting your backyard or your lawn into habitat for these essential members of the ecosystem. Okay, and that's my report on that, and I hope that yes, that those that were at the Emily Randall session had a great time, and I would very much like to go out for a cup of coffee with you, Dan, because I saw you there. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have been approached by a couple of different citizens, and I reached out to Chief Hill and Matt about it earlier, and Brandon, I think I CC'd you, who are really interested in how the city of Sequim will comply with the Keep Washington Working Act in the event that there is ice in our community. So I just want to let people know that, you know, people are worried, and there's some communication that I think we need to make to our citizens about that.
Anything else from any counselors? And I did get that, Vicky. All right. Anybody like to attend the next planning meeting on the 16th? If you'd like to, just reach out to Heather. Otherwise, next meeting will be a work session at 5 o'clock with Congresswoman Randall, 5 o'clock. And followed by a regular scheduled meeting at 6 p.m. Yep, at 2 o'clock.
Heather, isn't there a dinner before the 5 o'clock session?
Yeah, 4:30 will be dinner, and
Okay.
then 5 o'clock. And Congresswoman Randall and her assistant have been invited to join council for dinner that evening as well.
And I think we got confirmation from them.
Yes, we did.
Okay, good. Yeah.
It feels like the time is right. I'm ready to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Any opposed? All right, seeing none. All right, that passes. Have a good night, everyone.